Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming out this evening. I'll start this out. My name is Rick Hannon. I'm the council president. Mayor Howard is out of town this evening, and according to the Village of Enon Rules of Council and Ohio Revised Code, if the mayor is absent, the president of council or president pro temp becomes the presiding official. Therefore, as president of council, I'll be acting on behalf of Mayor Howard this evening, so please bear with us. We're stepping into his shoes this evening. Mr. Storm, you go ahead and call the roll, please.
Ms. Least.
Here.
Mrs. Sweet.
Here.
Mr. Bear.
Here.
Mr. Whitaker.
Here.
Mr. Avery. Mr. Hanna.
Here. All right, if we do have a quorum this evening, if you all will stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Avery will be with us just in a few minutes. He's running a little bit behind, I just saw. At this point, do we have any additions to the agenda? I do have a couple under communications. We'll also be adding an executive session this evening. And I think that's it on my part. Does anybody else have any additions to the agenda? Okay. With that, I'll move that you review the prior minutes. The first one will be from the special hearing on Tuesday, January 23rd. The second one will be from the regular meeting, also on Tuesday, January 23rd. And if had a motion to accept those as presented, if they so deem.
I'll make a motion to accept them as deemed.
I'll second.
Mr. Storm, if you'll call the roll, please.
Is that motion to accept them both together or individually?
I was accepting them both together.
Ms. Least.
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes.
Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hanna.
Yes. And with that, Mr. Storm, if you want to go ahead with the financials this evening.
Sure. Apologies that you have not seen these sooner. We had a little miscommunication on our end of the house, but they are here for you. I will turn your attention to the cash summary by fund, which I think is probably the best way to start. And our balances as of the end of January were in the general fund $192,592.44. In street, we had a balance of $58,254. We had some projects year end and then at the first of the month that have affected that balance a little bit, but we're starting to get our gasoline tax and our motor vehicle registration fees in, so that fund will be increasing. Federal grant still sits at negative $80,000. We'll be making that $15,000 transfer probably the first week of March. Our ARPA funds sit at $130,741.75. We cannot receipt anything into that fund, but in terms of our park, we did receive the farm rents at the end of the year, and last week I made we made the real estate tax payment on that land because it is not yet exempt. Police department sits at $203,264.64. Water $214,140.14. And then our other funds as assigned there. We have some of our encumbrances may look a little bit high, but that is because we've encumbered some funds for the year. We've done some blanket POs to set aside money that we'll just use throughout the year. So not concerned about that. Do not have the signature page for you yet. I think at our last meeting I sent you the email that the state had a glitch in their UAN, and that report is not printing, and that is still the case. We don't have our updated patch yet, but we did reconcile for the month of January.
Okay. So we do need a motion on that this evening, then, do we not?
We can hold off until the next meeting, and hopefully
you get
that'll be done by
the
then.
other
If not,
Okay.
we'll just have to wing it. But
All righty.
unless there are any other questions, that ends my report on the finances.
Question came up a little bit earlier tonight about our ARPA funding that we've earmarked for the park. That has to be expended by the end of 2026, is that correct?
We need to encumber it by the end of this year, though.
Okay. spent by the end of 2026. Is that,
I think it's by the end of '25, but we will get an answer on that.
okay? Yeah, because we definitely want to stay up with that. Alrighty. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. We have no presentations this evening. On communications, I just got a few. The first one would be, we need to schedule a public records meeting prior to our next meeting. Ms. Tomey, if we can go ahead and get, or Mr. Storm, if we can get that set up with public notice. We'll be doing the records committee meeting prior to our next meeting on February 27th, and we'll do that at 5:45. And we'll have a secondary meeting for the Planning Commission meeting, again, prior to our next meeting on February 27th at 6 o'clock. So if we could get public notices out for that and contact our people on Planning Commission and on the Records Commission. Appreciate that.
Did you say the second one's going to be at 6 o'clock?
Correct, 5:45 and 6 o'clock. And then the regular meeting will happen directly after the Planning Commission meeting concludes. All right, just a quick update on the park itself. We did contract out to the MSP, which is McGill. It's a company out of Springboro, not Springboro. Oh, shoot, outside of Cincinnati, Sharonville, I'm sorry, I had a brain situation there, for $1,800. What that's doing is, we found out there's a significant amount of state funds that has not been earmarked. Actually, about $800 million worth of funding through the state that's possibly available. We have contracted out to MSP to do the budget grant for that and the estimate for the park. We think that would be money well spent for $1,800 with the possibility of possibly getting funding for the park. The last estimate we had, which was a year and a half ago, was $6.2 million in order to do that. So we know that the construction cost went up significantly, as well as some things that have been added to the park that should we get state monies for or a grant for, that we could actually include earlier than what we may have projected. Also, I attended the Transportation Committee meeting on last Friday. The TCC meetings are held out at Springview, and discuss funding and planning for infrastructure and highways around the township and the village. So we'll be trying to represent the interests of the village on items through TCC. If anybody would be interested, the next meeting is March 8th. That's at 10:30 at the Springview Government Center out east of town. With that, if nobody has anything else on communications, we'll go to staff reports, and Ms. Tomey is sitting in for Mr. Seifert this evening.
Council has a set of solar eclipse glasses tonight in front of them. The Clark County Health Department was so kind to share their glasses with us. We do have a limited supply, and those will be available for us to give out to our residents tomorrow. So Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 are normal business hours. We are closed 12 to 1 for lunch, so our residents can stop by and pick them up as supplies. Sorry, I feel like I'm echoing. As long as we have supplies. In front of council, we have the Mayor's Court report for January 2024. Total funds received was $1,302. Total remitted to the state was $235. Total remitted to the Springfield is $9. Total remitted to the village was $1,058. Total traffic tickets was $9 for the month of January. And we'll need a motion.
I'll move that we accept the mayor's court report as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Storm?
Mrs. Sweet,
Yes.
Mr. Bear,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Least.
Yes.
Thank you. On February 8th was the bid opening for the water waste replacement project. The engineer's estimate was $437,150. The best bid was $275,000, and $213 from Precision Boring of Ohio, that's in Lancaster. We are pleased with the bid, and we will need a motion to reward the bid. The project will start in April of this year, and Kevin will keep council updated.
And we do need a motion to approve that tonight. And I'd entertain a motion if anybody's interested in moving that.
When you said you guys looked through it, did we look at any references or anything? They are a reputable company.
Yes, they
Okay.
are. LJB, actually, not LGB.
LJB.
The engineers for us did.
Okay. I'll move that we accept the precision boring bid.
I'll second it.
Mr. Storm?
Mr. Bear,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Least,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. The 2023 Annual Administrative Report was emailed to council. Also, there's a copy in front of you. The Administrative, Water, and Street Department was very busy in the 2023 calendar year. Please take an opportunity to review this report. If you have any questions, please reach out to myself or Kevin.
I did notice that it surprised me on OOPS locate spots, we've got 774 of those this past year. Significant work on that was a Cardinal tank was repaired. Water meters read were over 10,000. So give them our congratulations to the employees that they're out there staying busy all the time. It certainly shows.
I think a lot of those oops was actually related to the water improvement project in front of the school. I believe that's why they were so high this year. Kevin has been in contact with Olivia Young about her Eagle Scout project. I believe that he already brought it to council. She is going to be moving the flag at the government center. It's now currently on the police side. She's going to be moving it to the front of the government center. I believe she's also going to install 2 more, so Kevin will be giving you an update in the future on those projects. Also, Kevin emailed the 2024 proposed Enon fees. I think he sent them to you. There's also a copy in your packet. Please review those. If you have any suggestions, please let Kevin know. He would like to have council approve those possibly before spring. Just a couple announcements. The office will be closed on Monday, February 19th for President's Day. And then our next blood drive will be next Wednesday, the 21st. Appointments are still available, and you could go to donortime.com to make those appointments.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Tomey or Mr. Seifert this evening? Our best to Kevin and his family. Okay, Chief?
Good evening, Acting Mayor, Council, residents. Did I say that right, sir? On that administrative report, I was just asked that back page 14, if we could redact that. That's some not for public use information, I believe, since it's issued at council. Maybe it's public, so we could have that fixed and reissued, please. I passed out the January stats packet, January stats for the officers there. It's in your packet of papers they gave you. And nothing really outstanding on that. I know we did have 1 auto theft in January, which I know it's not in the stats there, but I think I announced that at last council. On the personal policy section, I've reached out to our solicitor, Paul Kavanaugh. So since I've been here, we do a 40-hour work week for employees, but typically the road, street, and all that are Monday through Friday, where officers are 7 days a week, 24/7. And I was looking to change the police side to an 80-hour work week in a 14-day period, but I'm still working with the solicitor to see the legality of that. But I think that would help us with scheduling. For when, obviously we're held over or whatnot, they could go into the additional week without forcing us into overtime or compensation time. So I think it would help financially, but I thought I would have more on that. But again, just kind of some slow talks with Mr. Kavanaugh. So I'll bring that back after I get some definite answers, but I'd like to see the police department move toward that, just for scheduling and stuff. Earlier last year, council approved adding the full-time officer there for the police department. A couple months ago, I did the news brief of the lack of applicants. I just wanted to, I did an interview a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, I think. I brought that up to previous council, but I will say that I made a conditional offer. That individual has returned his background packet, and we're in the process of filling that. So I would just hope that Asset Council, according to our policy, I have to ask you guys to, approve the hiring of them. But the wage, I was going to bring them about midpoint because they do have prior experience, obviously, pending they successfully complete the background investigation. But my hopes is to get them on staff sworn in March 1st, maybe, or close to that, if I can bring them back maybe at the end of February. But I've done a lot of the legwork already. When I interviewed them, had a lot of their information, and they do have some prior experience. So my hopes is to get them brought on, get them trained, and then that will obviously really improve our coverage and bring us back up to what we were prior to COVID and some of the hiccups we've had in law enforcement. So if nobody objects to that, I'll continue forward on that.
It's good with me.
Yeah.
I noticed in our budget there, the training services, the line item has 0, and I don't know what I need to do to add some funds to that, but I'd like to put a little bit of money into that for any expenses, obviously any trainings that would cost, or I don't know if we can.
Yeah, if a new officer is hired, we will need to do a supplemental appropriation for that salary anyways, so we can add money at that time, if that's council's desire.
Oh, okay, no, I'm sorry. I meant like just overall for like training for any officer, like if I would send them to something, I just know it's a 0, but I'll shoot you an email or something and we can figure out a dollar amount.
Is it
Ask
usually
council.
somewhere else? Like, is it somewhere else in the budget? It's just not split out there?
I could, in the past, it's just been a line item. It's fluctuated in dollar amounts. I know when former Chief Wilcox was in there, I'm trying to budget better. I send an officer to a training and something I attend, like for example, the Chief's End service that costs a little bit of money. It would be nice just to have a dollar amount. It typically, it's moved around after the fact, but I'd kind of try to project a little bit, maybe get some numbers in there, which is, I don't know, put a little in there.
It's moved around to some other fund, is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it just comes out of my 300 fund or 400 fund, but there's a specific line item in there, and I noticed it had 0. We do get monies reimbursed for our CPT funds, but again, that would, I don't know how that goes into the budget line, but I know that's for training, but that's reimbursed. But typically, there's usually a $2,000 or $3,000 balance in there. I think in the past, I just noticed it was 0, so I figured I'd bring it up since I saw it.
Yeah, so no money was appropriated on that line for this year. When those reimbursable amounts are received, the receipt ledger is separate from the appropriation ledger, so that does not feed directly into an appropriation account line. That has to be appropriated by council.
Okay.
It goes to the designated fund and just increases that bottom line balance. But in order to use it in a specific line that's not already funded, would take action from council.
Fair enough. I'll come back to you guys maybe
Yeah, you
next
guys
meeting
work
or
it out
after,
and-
give you a rough idea, and I'll ask for
Yeah,
some
bring it
funds
back
then.
to us and we'll address it at that point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I got with so just to update real quick on the solar eclipse thing for April 8th. I'm hoping it just goes well and we don't have such an influx, but obviously preparation is key. I spoke with the village administrator, did just a count on some of the gas cans, only just in case maybe, we'll keep our fleet going, but we're just kind of working around those angles. So if anybody has any suggestions for our end that maybe help prepare that I haven't thought of, I appreciate any input, and you just throw me an email or see me in person. Other than that,
I know all the articles I read said just for the local residents to fill up their gas tanks a couple days before or the day before. But I was able to find hotel rooms in Springfield and Beaver Creek.
yeah, I was too. I kind of looked into that. I think that was debunked because
Yeah.
somebody told me a 100-mile radius, and that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you took that on, because I looked, but I just wanted to make sure, like I said, just in case maybe a lot of people come through, got a bunch of gas or a power failure or something. I don't foresee anything, but I've seen the highways on Tennessee and Kentucky when the previous ones, and I just want to work around that. So at any rate, man, I know somebody probably already said it, but I will tell you, I've worked here a lot of years, and the Greenon School District, Mike Taylor, passed away about a couple weeks ago, and I had a really good working relationship with that man. I know Atkins did a procession, but I just wanted to say, if anybody didn't know that, maybe reach out to the school and give him your condolences, because he was a good guy and he was a hard worker. So I just wanted to mention that. That being said, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, on behalf of the village itself, our thoughts and prayers are out to the family, and he was well known and well respected through the community and through the school system themselves. So it's unfortunate again. Anything for our chief? I will say that if you haven't noticed, we've got new badges. The badges are very sharp
I meant to
looking
mention that.
now, and
Sorry.
a lot more professional than what maybe some of the other ones were over the years. But at least now they're nice and shiny right now. So anyway,
And real quick, I'm sorry, and I gave a copy of our employee evaluations there with the recommendation per the compensation policy that was put out last year. So that's the other stack of papers for you to review and reach out to me. Thank you for reminding me of the badges, yes.
and that is a personnel issue, so we need to keep that relatively within house, please, if we could.
Yep.
Anything for our chief? Nothing? Any committee reports this evening? None? With that, we'll go to old business, and one of the businesses that we'll be talking about tonight is the BZA appeal to council, and that's 23-08, the Montgomery family. And Ms. Tomey, could you please refresh council and the audience the history and background of the requested variance and the BZA determination which presents itself before us tonight, please?
Yes, Ashley Montgomery, 71 Fairfield Pike, single residential district. She requested for chickens. On 11/7 was the first BZA hearing. They decided to continue it because they wanted more information. On December the 4th, they had their second BZA meeting. There was a vote 2 to approve, 3 to deny the request. The property owner appealed it to council, and the appeal was on January 27th in front of council, and council requested it to be continued for time for council to review.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll ask council to, if they would want to entertain a motion on moving this evening or to vote on the issue.
Does there need to be any comments?
We'll go to that right after
Okay.
the motion, yeah.
I mean,
We'll have the motion presented, and then we'll go to comments, and
Okay.
so if that's okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it,
No, just to
to move forward or to make the
vote?
vote.
Okay. You want second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Storm, if we could go ahead and call the roll on that, please.
So we were moving for consideration of the issue.
To bring the motion for the
table.
variance to council itself.
Mr. Whitaker,
yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Least,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet,
Yes.
Mr. Barrett.
All right. Now that we've got that taken care of, I'd like to remind council that it takes 5 votes to override the BZA denial of the requested variance. Also, at this point, council may vote to approve, to deny, or amend the BZA determination respectively. And at this point, we'll open it for discussion to council only, please.
So I was sick last week, had COVID, didn't make it out to the residents. Thank you for sending pictures. I know Cindy went out, and I believe, Paul, you went out as well.
I did too.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we needed to see it for ourselves. I know we had pictures presented to us. You know, to me, at the first meeting, once the appeal came to us, there was no residents that brought up smell or sound. You know, to me, it's more of a neighborly thing. I'm not sure even in our ordinances, it specifically spells out, you know, one way or the other. I know chickens aren't necessarily mentioned. In this case, I think it's for the owners of the property, their pets. You know, they get eggs for their family. From hearing the residents that were here before, I didn't hear anything that would make me go against it.
Any other comments, concerns?
Yeah, I would kind of second what Jeremy was saying. I do believe probably our ordinances need to have some review to them. But I also believe that the issue from watching all the tapes and listening to what I had and the residents that I'd heard, I believe it is more of a Hawk Meadows issue, which we do not have a say-so in that. That's more of a Hawk Meadows. And the direct neighbors on both sides do not have an issue. And when we were out there, we personally looked and kind of almost measured the distance from the neighbors. And when I walked back to almost the creek, I couldn't smell them. There was no noise. So I don't necessarily have any problems with it. I would say that, you know, there are some things that I would like to see, you know, if it does get passed, that there are some things that I would say that we would like to have them do, such as continue to improve like they wanted to improve the pen, possibly put maybe a fence around, maybe even the pen that they have, so it may cover up some more of it if there is some issue, but I don't really think that you can see it from there. Maybe when we're out doing some zoning, looking around, maybe we do some unannounced visits there just to make sure we're keeping up on it. No roosters, stuff like that. But I know when we were there, they'd mentioned that, you know, they want to put some shingles on it and make it look nice. But other than that, I really didn't see any issues with it either.
Mrs. Montgomery said that when they started building the chicken coop, that's when they got noticed, or the notification from the BZA.
You're right.
So they quit putting money into the
Right.
chicken coop to improve it, waiting on the decision. And they said that with the decision, if it's approved, that they would finish the chicken coop.
Right. Yeah, I just would want it documented that that's what the intention would be. But
So then are we looking at changing the wording off of this in order to amend what our vote would be? Because we do have the option to amend the BZA determination as council itself.
I don't know how
So
you
there'd be a
break
friendly
that.
amendment off of that, would that?
I mean, I don't know what necessarily we would amend. I mean, the only thing they were asking for was to allow 10 chickens. You know, as Cindy said, I think we need to do our due diligence when we're out in the community looking for write-ups and things. I think that would be a place that we absolutely need to spot check, ensure that they're, you know, keeping up their end of the bargain as, you know, keeping it clean. You know, they're not free range.
No roosters.
Right.
Right.
But there's no preclusion on zoning as far as that type of information off of it, as far as I've seen on zoning. It just addresses what you may have or may not have under the agricultural zoning system of that, so.
But her variance was I think it was originally for 12 chickens.
It was originally for 12 and one had died. Yes,
So it was for 11 hens.
11 hens is
Ben, did you
what
have
it is,
something?
yes.
Well, my concern with this is the process. I feel, you know, they applied for a variance after already owning these animals, after they were brought to their attention that they were in the village. To me, you should do your due diligence to know where you live first before you go off and purchase something and then ask for permission. My issue is we're kind of taking the voice away from the public on this. If the proper process had been done, people could have came in and had a better meeting about this and reached a decision to possibly change ordinances. But to me, we're, saying it's okay for anyone to build whatever and then ask for permission. That's where I'm at.
Oh, my only thing with that is, though, there's 5 to 10 residents already that have chickens, and
Right.
their neighbors don't have a problem with it, so theirs have never been reported. We're not going to go after them. That's the only
And I understand
comment
that
I have
too,
with
but
that.
I mean, I also have been told by multiple residents of that neighborhood that they don't want them. To me, I understand only 2 showed up for a negative and 2 showed up for support, but having talked to people in that neighborhood, I'm looking at least 25 people
So
said
did
no.
you go like knocking on the doors? Is that what you did, or
I know people that live there.
know people who live there?
Yeah. I went by their property multiple times, various times of the day. I didn't feel this was a decision to make light, so I took it forward.
Right.
I used all my resources I could out there, so I just feel like it's a matter of protecting the process. I have no issue if the citizens were to determine this is what we want in the village, then we go about it right and have the ordinance updated. But to me, I don't feel like I want to be forced to make that decision.
how do we
for
go
the citizens.
backwards, though?
Yeah.
From what my understanding, there would be no retroactivity as far as any type of enforcement off of this in the future. Basically, it would be and again, I'm paraphrasing off of what my conversations were with Mr. Kavanaugh, is that the agricultural zoning requirements would go along with the residential, but there should be some at least caveat or some addressing it in the residential that. Absent of a prohibition, that you just can't automatically assume that zoning for the agricultural would flow into the residential side of that. So, and again, there is no preclusion on the residential side off that, but there is off the agriculture. So I see our zoning does need to be readdressed on that to make it clearer in the future. It's obvious that this may be coming back in front of us again. Now, there is a still another administrative appeal off of this that can go to Clark County after our decision here with the village itself. And this is a relatively new process for all of us up here, so we're trying to make the best decision we can with the information that we've got that's going to be fair to everybody. So.
And I firmly agree that the ordinances need clarification on that, so there's not a question.
Right.
And there's not a gray area that we then have to rely on legal opinion.
Right.
I
And that's kind
think-
of what I was going by a lot, was the ordinances. And I was also understanding that some of these hens, if not all of them, were not purchased after she had moved there, that she had brought them with her from the previous house.
And if you look at our ordinances, if you look in the residential ordinances, like you said, there's nothing in there about it. As a homeowner moving in, I can fully understand how, who knows if she looked at it or not, but if she did, I wouldn't make the assumption that if it's not in there, then it's not allowed. You know what I mean?
Well, there's just a specific preclusion off of it,
Right.
but now I will make it very clear from the beginning that we have reached out to Mr. Kavanaugh, who's the village solicitor, who supported the BZA determination with the ruling that he did not feel that it was a allowable situation, regardless how we may feel about it up here, and he is our legal counsel for the village. So once again, what we face in front of us here now is there grounds to support or to overrule the BZA determination off of that? So is there any other communication off of this, or any other comments?
So Mr. Roberts may be here for that. Can we open it up to the floor for any comments?
I see why not. If we're here, make it reasonable. We've got 3 minutes, I think, for, it is if nobody has any.
Yeah, I don't even know if if someone's here.
Yeah, does
was here for
anybody
that
who
reason.
has not spoken toward this want to come forward and discuss it?
Do you have to live in the village to speak on that?
I think that would be reasonable to have village residents that have a direct impact on that, please. John?
Excuse me, I just don't know about, Claire, do they own their property or they rent it?
It was a purchase, yeah, it was it was a straight purchase, yeah, yeah. So there's some confusion about maybe what realtors had said or represented, so we're sympathetic toward that, you know, so it,
Just a question.
yeah.
So what's gonna happen when they get it? Am I allowed to have, is everybody else gonna start next door? Or-
Well, that's where we're at now.
That's
We,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You don't do something and ask for forgiveness. Then, how that
Right.
works, I forget.
And I guess,
It's just,
and for that, if
and if they brought her from somewhere, then,
Okay.
were they allowed to have them there?
They were in the township,
They were.
so they were.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, there's chickens on Broadway and Fowler. There's
Right.
chickens, shit, I see them all over. I have nothing against chickens.
Right.
Trust me, not a dang thing, but it's just the way to go about it. And the attorney said it's not right, it shouldn't be right.
Does anybody else have any comments that's not been heard before previously? With that, we'll move forward with the, Mr. Storm, if you'll call the roll, and what it would be was a, yes would be to override the BZA denial, correct? If you're voting yes, that would be to
override their
override
denial.
the denial. If you're voting no, that would be to support because we're voting on the variance. So you would be approving the variance. If you're not approving the variance, it would be a no vote. Is everybody on board with that?
Wait a minute.
The variance,
Say that again.
they've requested the variance.
Yeah.
BZA has said there is no variance, they denied that. So if we're voting up here, a yes vote would be to approve their recommendation for the variance.
Okay.
So a yes vote means they get to keep the chickens.
Correct. A yes vote would be
No vote
that
means
you
they
can
need
let it
to-
Okay.
stay
To a
as it
higher
is
authority.
now. A no vote would be where you're saying they cannot have the chicken coops there themselves. Or clear.
Can I make a procedural?
You can
point?
do whatever you want to off of this. We're glad to hear it.
The motion needs to be made in the affirmative. So that we need a motion to approve the variance requested by Ms. Montgomery in, BZA number, whatever it is.
2308.
So that would be straight up or down vote to approve the variance request. That
Yes,
vote needs 5 yes votes to
That's
be
correct.
effective.
to overrule the
Yes.
BZA determination, yes, you need 5 votes off of that.
But we do need a motion and a second to that.
So
Okay.
a yes means they get to keep the chickens.
Yeah.
Do we not have
But
the
they need
motion
a
to begin
motion
with?
to
No.
approve.
But do
They
you
need a
need that,
motion.
you need a motion? Okay.
Yes.
We need a motion,
You
and
do
you
need
are
a motion.
allowed to, put any caveats in there that you want. You can put conditions on these appeal requests.
Thank you all for that. So we would entertain the initial
So
motion.
moved.
I'll second it.
Now I'll let Mr. Storm catch up.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
No.
Ms. Least,
Yes,
Mrs. Sweet,
Yes.
Mr. Bear,
No.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
The motion does not carry. The overturning of the BZA determination was not successful. From this point, the appeal would go to the Clark County courts if the claimant so chooses, and that takes care of that,
so
please.
is there anything we have to do at this point further?
I don't, not off of this, so we made our decision off of that, that it would not be, so it would be up to them to go ahead and move forward to the Clark County Court.
Do we need to suggest to the zoning board that they look, or not, we need to look into improving our,
I'd say definitely, but I'm not sure if this is the right
Or
venue,
zoning
probably
rules.
next meeting, if we want to bring that up, if
Okay.
it's new business. I think that would be a real prudent
Yes.
Okay.
thing to address.
that's
And
the
at that
word.
point too, we could also look at how to handle existing conditions too,
Yes. That's
respectively.
definitely.
And we thank you all for your participation off of this.
Thanks, John.
And to the Montgomery family, we apologize, but there are certain confines that we have to follow or to allow the variance.
Thank you for your patience.
All righty, in new business, we have no further old business. In new business, Ms. Tomey, if you could discuss a little bit about the Planning Commission determination as 2401 for the berries. Is past the history and decision of the Planning Commission, please.
So Robin Berry, property owner of 205 South Xenia Street in Enon, Ohio, she would like to give .445 acres to Jeremy and Dawn Hawks, which I only have their parcel number. I don't have their address. I know it's on Taylor Street. The Planning Commission met on Tuesday, January 30th, and they did approve it and recommended it to go to council.
All righty.
So I guess I should give a little bit of history. So Robin Berry owns property that is in front of her nephew's front window. So she's getting ready to sell her property. What they don't want happen is somebody to buy that property and put a big garage or something in front of his property. So she's giving him a little bit of the rear of her property to make him have a bigger front yard and to not have a building in front of his property.
Right, the property in question comes back to basically a triangular point back there on the corner of Phil's property and the Berry property. So the gentleman who actually lives back there has no frontage, if you look at it, other than the driveway access that goes back there. So there is a relationship there that,
I'm going to pass out a map so everyone
Yeah.
can see, and I apologize. Here's another one if they want it to go the other way.
let's see where, okay. Right now, this is his property here. That's all you've got is a corner right there on the triangle. Yeah, if you look on the overhead there. So this is what's going back there now. Right now, this is the new property lines. This is the current existing. So this guy back here has no front whatsoever, essentially.
How big is Robin's?
Right, so she wants to get this much.
The yellow is
to
the
him for
current
front
property.
yard, for his
The
front yard.
blue will be the proposed on the Planning Commission
It's like
approval.
an acre and a quarter.
You already approved, right?
So with that, we need to go ahead and schedule for determination off that then. Christie for the plan. See, where does that go? It needs to be brought before council to approve that at the next meeting,
Not this one.
not this one. I think we have to have that open for public hearing.
Wasn't your hearing the public hearing? The planning commission, wasn't that a public hearing?
From what I understood, it was, and it should be announced prior to the council voting on it.
Oh,
That
I
was
see.
what has been relayed to me.
Okay.
So I would assume that we would, see, we've got 2 meetings prior to the next council meeting. Or do we have any time constraints off of that? Would anybody have any idea as far as bringing that back to council for after the planning commission?
I do not. Do you want me to grab the ordinance and look at it real quick?
If you would, and what I'll do is I'll open up the floor to, at this point, because the only thing that we've got left is an executive session that we may go back to, since it may be a little bit of time back there, and we may or may not come back with some type of decision. Does anybody on the floor have anything to discuss with council? If so, if you'll step up to the microphone and announce who you are and who you represent, please.
Yeah, good. Yeah, she's got to look at you.
Hello.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. My name is Angela Green. I live at 6742 Southern Vista Drive.
Okay.
And if I could have you bring your attention to the blue folders that you have in front of you.
I'm sorry, you said 714 Southern Vista?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. 6742.
6714. And Angela Green, is there an end at the green? Or just Green, G-R-E-N?
E at the end of Green.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure. All right. So I sent an email to Mr. Howard and Mr. Holler January 26th, 2024, just urging them to adopt a no wild animal policy for future events. My topic this evening is ban circus animals in Enon, Ohio. So that was the reason for my letter emailed to them. The second document is from the United States Department of Agriculture. This particular document is a decision and order which was signed by Judge Bullard in 2011, advising Culpeper and Meriwether Circus to cease and desist from further violations of the Animal Welfare Act. The third document is a fact sheet which shows 40 violations by Culpeper and Meriwether Circus, stemming from 1991 all the way to present. And I would like to note the decision and order that was signed by Judge Bullard in 2011, advising them to cease and desist from violating the AWA. They have since violated, I think there was 7 violations. Yes, 7 more violations since 2011. And then the fourth document is a petition that I started, and it's to ban circus animals in Enon, Ohio, and I've already collected or gathered 204 signatures. Last but not least is a leaflet from Animal Defenders International, just giving you some facts on what happens to circus animals. Thank you again for allowing me to speak on this subject. It means a lot to me. And I again urge you to adopt a no wild animal policy for future events. If you need some help with ideas for fundraisers for future events, I am more than willing to volunteer for that and help you.
Okay. All righty, any questions or any comments? Thank you, Ms. Green.
Thank you
Appreciate
Very
it.
much.
Now, I do know that prior to the last time they came in, we received a lot of email plus minus about that, and we tried to use the best informed decision we could at that point to move forward, because it was already planned at that point, and they were coming in. Again, we did the due diligence to make sure that there wasn't anything that would go against necessarily community standards at that point or against law, but next time if it would come up, then we'll definitely be looking out for, I would say, more public comment. But at this point, our personnel and our village efforts were fairly thin, so I don't see that and the chief may reiterate that, but.
It was an inherited event when I became chief, so I was bound by a contract.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Yes.
We skipped a COVID year or something, hadn't we? We had to make up a COVID
Yeah,
year.
when
if I
Chief
recall
Wilcox
correctly.
retired in 19, he'd already contracted for 20, so my hands were tied either way.
Wasn't there a penalty if we denied it?
It was a very,
Stingy
yes, a
contract.
very, very, very costly thing to cancel once you were signed into a contract.
Okay.
And when I say expensive, I mean expensive.
And we're not under any contract.
We are
currently.
not. I
Okay.
had not re-signed a contract. From a chief's standpoint, I have no, that's too much for me to handle. And I would, if somebody's going to do that, I would prefer another section of the village handle that rather than the police department.
Thank you.
But we are grateful because we're always looking for volunteers.
Are there future circus events coming to Enon?
None that I have pushed forward.
So there is a possibility that it could be banned?
I don't know about word ban, but I know from an administrative standpoint of the police department, it's too much for me to handle. So I can't have an event. I can't organize an event like that.
There's just
again.
none planned right now.
There it is. So to my knowledge, they haven't contacted me and I couldn't do it. I've got other things I need to focus on. Back in the past, there was multiple administrators down there could juggle stuff like that. My former chief was very good at it. I am not so much because, well, I'm solo and that's at that aspect. So nothing planned as of now or contracts signed.
Thank you,
And I
sir.
think too, before that, the council would go ahead and be a party of that. We would have a long discussion prior to moving that step, if I can speak for council themselves.
I agree.
Thank
I would
you.
recommend going to the township as well with this,
Mad River
bring it to
Township?
their attention as well, and see if the township would vote on that.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that. All
And
right.
they're first and third Mondays.
Their next meeting is next Tuesday.
Okay. A holiday, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
With that, any other comments from the public? Yes, ma'am, state your name and your address.
Is it my understanding that this is open to even outside Eden residents? I'm a Greene County resident. I just wanted to check.
For 3 minutes, you can have the microphone, please. And if you'll state your name and your address.
Yes,
please.
sir. Amanda Delzeith, Delzeith. Address is 1571 Charterwood Circle, Apartment 4, Fairborn, Ohio. I'm speaking with Southwestern Ohio Animal Rights Network in reference to some information on reasons why banning or not allowing animal circuses into the community. Circuses and traveling acts can't meet the physical and psychological needs of wild animals like lions, tigers, and elephants, along with other animals too, like page circuses usually use horses, birds, dogs. So they're usually confined for long periods of time in small cages and endure physical violence to break them down and force them to perform unnatural tricks. Other stressors include noise, lights, careless positioning of prey animals. They can exhibit their stress by showing abnormal behaviors such as repetitive pacing, swaying, head bobbing. Human entertainment should not be at the cost of animal suffering. It's a myth that circus animals are trained with kindness and reward. Common circus tools like whips, electric prods, and bull hooks are used. Captivity does not alter the natural instincts of wild animals. Stress can make them unpredictable and dangerous. There's a long list of fatalities and injuries to circus workers in public and animals alike. So let us please not wait for the next accident to happen in our communities before we can take action. We are not against animal circuses in general. We only are against the use of animals in the circus. A civilized society prefers to see human entertainment. Currently, there are around 20 animal-free circuses that tour the U.S., including Barnum and Bailey, who have re-released their circus as an animal-free circus. OG, like way back, the first circus. These shows can also create jobs for human performers without exposing the citizens and animals to abuse. Worldwide, there's over 50 nations that restrict the use of wild animals in circuses. Here in Ohio, Cincinnati banned wild animals in the circus in 2019 with a 7-1 vote, as well as Newark, Ohio in 2017, and Delaware, Ohio also has banned animals in the circus. Nearly 70% of Americans say that they're concerned with the use of animals in circuses, according to a Gallup poll from 2015. Myself, along with many of my family and friends, including Miss Green, have decided to only support animal-free circuses. We love the human acts like acrobats and motorcycle acts. We feel it's not right to drag animals across the country or the state to perform when there are shows like Barnum and Bailey, Venardo's Circus, and Cirque du Soleil that are examples of human performances for entertainment. Wild animals do not perform tricks for the circus without pain, fear, hunger, and threat during or training for shows. They're chained and caged 365 days a year and many wild animals can live 35 to 40 years. And they're torn away from their families and domesticated for art entertainment.
I need to wind you down a little bit
Oh.
because we're 3 minutes on.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry about
talked
that.
so.
You're
No, that's
fine,
fine. But I'm available for any questions or information. I did protest them last year when they came through. So thank you.
So, yeah, any other comments about the zoo or the animals? I don't see that as being something we'll be addressing very soon, or if so. So, with that, any other comments from the public?
Mr. Hannah, I have your results. For
Okay.
1185.04E, council shall, upon receipt of such recommendation, set a time for public hearing on the proposed, which date shall not be more than 30 days from the date of receipt of such recommendation from the Planning Commission. Notice of the hearing shall be given in the paper at least 15 days prior to the hearing date. Then within 20 days after such public hearing, council shall either adopt or deny the recommendation of the Planning Commission. So within 30 days of today.
30 days as of today?
30
From
days
today.
as of today.
Okay, so
Did it say we have to give 15 days?
We have to give a 15-day notice to the newspaper, so we wouldn't be able to do it
Right.
at the
No,
next
30
council
days.
meeting.
But we could
Okay,
do it on March 12th.
so we're at,
Yeah.
okay, 27. Okay, let's go ahead and schedule that for, as Ms. Lee said, on the 12th. And do we want to do that at 5:45 prior to the 6 o'clock meeting? 6 o'clock meeting?
That's fine
Is
with
that
me.
okay with everybody? Jeremy, you would make it? Paul?
45?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, if you could, Rob, if you make all the public notices, or Christie, the public notices off of that.
Many similar names.
Staff will take care of it. Staff will take care of it.
Thanks.
Perfect. With that, if nobody has any other public comment, then I'd entertain a motion to,
I make a motion that council enters into executive session to consider and/or discuss the appointment of a public official or officials.
and if I could have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Storm.
Ms. Least,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet,
Yes.
Mr. Bear,
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
yes.
Mr. Hannah.
Yes.
6:58.
At this point, there may or may not be activity or information that comes up off of the executive session. If not, we appreciate your time and your patience this evening. We thank you for coming out this evening, and again, we appreciate y'all having your day here. So, thank you. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to rejoin the meeting this evening.
I'll second.
So, oh, time.
Who was the first? I'm sorry.
Me?
Me.
Or, okay, yeah.
Brenda did
Brenda
this
did.
time.
Mr.
7:14.
Storm?
I didn't think anybody did.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Least,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes.
Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Okay, this,
You want me to do it?
Thank you.
yeah, if you would.
I'll move that we appoint Bob Adkins to the Planning Commission, Rob Alexander and Randy Potter to the BZA full-time members, and Dave Babcock and Tim Archibald as the 2 alternates for the BZA.
I'll second.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
Do we?
I second.
Okay. And Mr. Storm, if you'll call the roll, please.
Sorry. Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Hannah,
Yes.
Ms. Least,
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet.
Yes.
Mr. Bear.
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker.
Yes.
That will move forward, and we thank people for putting their names in, because we always need additional help, and look forward to
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?